Vols are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! Brought us by Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, November 3rd. Landon, it is great to be a Tennessee Volunteer.
It's the best feeling ever. Like, it's funny. I was literally like reading some like news stuff on ESPN, and like Kyrie Irving got suspended, and I had no clue why, because literally all I think and care about is Tennessee football.
Yeah, it's been a very weird just year. I think I've told you this. Just I normally, I'm so dialed into fantasy football and even like gambling. I just don't care as much because it's just so much fun. All my attention's here. I'm sorry to anybody I'm in a fantasy football league with. I try to follow and do my best. But on Sunday, I wake up, I watch highlights, I scroll Twitter, I scroll TikTok, I get on Facebook just to see what everyone's saying about the game, to get the tears from Kentucky fans, this year from Alabama fans. It's just so much fun. And to see on Tuesday night, everyone wants to be upset about Tennessee celebrating a number one ranking. And it's just funny because I think everyone's recognized, like, it's week one, it's November 1st. It's not, I mean, everyone wants to say, didn't y'all learn anything about baseball? I mean, I think everyone, for the most part, everyone has their fans, understands that this is a ranking, this isn't a trophy. But for Tennessee football to be where it's at, man, after the firing on January 21st, I believe, 2021, 35 players entering the portal, the uncertainty, I will still say it, underwhelming hire of Josh Heupel. It was very underwhelming on the surface. And I think for any job, it's a fit is a big piece of it. And Josh Heupel, like Tony Vitello, really just seems to enjoy where he's at. And that goes a long way in allowing you to be successful. And Josh Heupel obviously has proven the doubters wrong and just done a fantastic job. So there's a lot to celebrate. You're not done. You can't be done right now. You're playing. Here's I said it this week. Tennessee, whether they rank number one, and I thought they should have been on Tuesday. You're playing for number one, and you still are Saturday.
Yeah, and you're going to every week. But you did forget something when you said you wake up in the morning. You wake up and we piss excellence because, baby, we're number one.
I don't think I've woken up half-mast a single time this season.
Yeah, so you definitely got to piss.
It's just a lot of fun.
But you got to be careful, though, when you're pissing like that,
Yeah, that's definitely a sit downer.
643 days. I don't think that, like, it sounds like a large number, but when you're talking about a complete rebuild of a football program, and Tennessee isn't done yet, I don't think that we know it. That roster is not to what it should be to compete for titles, and damn it, here we are.
Yeah, still building depth, and Hendon Hooker's obviously been phenomenal, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that as much as Josh Heupel and this team have needed Hendon Hooker probably needed this team and Josh Heupel as well. He wasn't a world beater when he showed up. He wasn't Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or Caleb Williams, and he's being mentioned with those names now that he's at Tennessee. So as much as he's given this program, I think the program's given their fair share back to Hendon Hooker. It's kind of a match made in heaven. I think all parties are happy with how it ended up, and I know I'm happy to have Hendon Hooker and then add a couple other guys in there. Brew McCoy that transferred in. I mean, Velus Jones is a good example. Just very pedestrian, probably the right word, in his first transfer year at Tennessee, and then a breakout year in his second year, and helps him get drafted and playing pretty good at Chicago. Has a touchdown in his rookie year, and I think the guys that have stayed a part of this program, come to be a part of this program, are very, very pleased with their decision. And I can't say enough about this football team, man. Just how competitive they are. They're level-headed. They compete. I said competitive already. You get it. I don't know how this season goes if they don't bow up in Pittsburgh. I don't know. And so for them to do that second week of the season, didn't play their best game. I said it at the time. I didn't think that was their best game, and that's proven to be true. This season could look a lot different. So just credit to how these guys have fought. They fought at Pitt, fought at Florida, fought against Bama. They fought, obviously, at LSU and against Kentucky, but maybe a little bit of an easier fight in that one. You kind of put them out first. So, yeah, it's an easy team to root for. We talked about it with basketball and baseball over the last few years. This Tennessee football team's easy to root for this year. Love those guys.
Yeah, 100%. We got people commenting in the chat. If you do have any questions or comments, throw those in the chat. Matt Rimmer said, best week of the year, boys. Absolutely.
Matt, I love you this week.
But
Public Enemy number one for you. Yeah. Me and him have been messaging back and forth. I kind of like that I've got a couple friends now that are opposing fans. It makes it a little bit more fun, especially when you're winning. Yeah. So hopefully I'm able to get a leg up on Matt this year. Good dude. So hopefully I'm able to talk a little trash after Saturday night.
And our friend Austin sent us a video of him smoking a
cigarette.
Yes, cigarette. Out of, he was in shambles in the shower, just sitting there in a wife beater smoking a cigarette. And,
hopefully that wasn't in like a home he's showing. Hopefully that was his own home.
That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. I mean, I don't know if I would.
Yeah, previous owners were smokers. I'm sorry.
I wonder if did his wife know his wife didn't know he did that.
His wife was out of the house for sure.
Yeah. So we just told on him. So you're welcome.
Hey,
you're in the doghouse just like me. So it's cool.
Yeah, I love it. I'm fired up for this week. I know it's going to be a dogfight. I know it's going to be – I don't know. I said that about Kentucky and LSU, and it should have been by all means. Tennessee just played really well those games, executed early, got them ahead. I think the same could be said for this game, but I think it's a dogfight for 60 minutes like Georgia – or, excuse me, Alabama. You can get ahead. This team's good enough. They're deep enough. They're competitive enough. They're level-headed enough to stay in games even if you get ahead. I don't see this being a blowout Georgia's way. I certainly don't see it being a blowout Tennessee's way. And it's going to be an interesting one. Georgia's allowed 22 points on the year is their most. I don't have their average in front of me, but 22 is the most they've allowed. Tennessee's averaging 49.8, I think, on the year, 49 point something. And the least they've scored is 34 in an overtime win over Pitt. So something's got to give in that sense. Excellent defense. Not as good as last year. Tennessee, excellent offense. It's going to truly be an exciting matchup. Georgia's best probably game right now, and it's by committee, is running the football. That's where Tennessee's strong suit is on the defensive side. I think it's a great matchup in the SEC East. And I'm not saying Tennessee football is the only thing that makes college football great when I say this, but when Tennessee's good, the SEC, the SEC East, and college football are just that much better because you get these Alabama-Tennessee matchups, Georgia-Tennessee matchup, Florida-Tennessee matchup. It just makes college football a little bit more interesting when those teams are good.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hyping up to be the biggest game of the year so far for, both teams, but college football in general. And it's crazy because, I saw this on Twitter that this is the biggest football game of Josh Heupel's coaching career. We've said that 2 or 3 times so far this season. Depending on what happens, it's probably not the last time we say it.
Yeah, and that's the cool part about it, and that's the cool part about this team is, everyone keeps saying wait till LSU, wait till Alabama, wait till Kentucky, which still blows my mind. That shouldn't have ever been said. Wait till Georgia. The other 3 make sense. Those don't happen unless this team takes care of business, does what they need to do. We talked about it with Florida. We talked about it with Alabama. We're talking about it now. This team's earned this opportunity for this game to be as big as it is, for Josh Heupel to be the game of his career. So I know you should address this as every opponent. Don't change your methods. Don't change how you go about things. But understand that this Saturday special, College Game Day is there. It's on 3:30 CBS because of what you've done and nothing less.
Yeah, here's the thing. You've been there, done that. You've been on 3:30 CBS. You've done College Game Day. This team. You mentioned it. They're level-headed. It doesn't bother them. The whole like checker kneeling curse or alternate jersey curse, whatever it is. This team has embraced it and overcame it every single time.
Absolutely.
They've won close games. They've won against good teams, which Georgia. I think Georgia's a really good football team, but you can't sit here and tell me that they've got a really good win on their schedule because they don't.
Yeah, Oregon's their best win, and Oregon's a very different football team than they were week one. That doesn't take anything away from what Georgia did because I think if Oregon plays someone different, they probably play a little bit better. Yeah. But that's really that's why I still think they should be at number 2, but that's why they're not at number 1.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 49-3, you're going to look back on it. Yeah, that I guess that is their signature win, but the Florida game was close. It was 20-28 at one point because they just let down in the third quarter. They did end up pulling away at the end. Missouri was a close game. What I'm trying to say is I've seen on Twitter that can they get it done in Athens? That shouldn't be a measuring stick of what this football team is right now.
Yeah,
can they get it? It doesn't matter, and this team doesn't care. They don't care who's. It's their week that they go play Georgia. I don't think they care anything else other than, hey, we're playing on the road. We play this team in black and red, and we're going to beat them. They'll have probably red jerseys with gray pants. Gray pants is the dumbest thing. That's a baseball thing. I don't understand why they have gray pants, but
yeah, it definitely is another week, and I'll say it. People are wanting to talk about how good Georgia is, and some people, thankfully, the national media is coming around. They forget to mention how good Tennessee is.
Yep.
We do have some
just enjoying the moment.
I'll borrow a phrase from our friend Ross Kivett. I try to save it for baseball season because it's definitely one of those baseball terms. Steady Eddie, man. This team's steady Eddie. They're going to go into Athens, 1-0 mentality, and play football. It's a football game. Play it in Athens, play it in Knoxville, play it in Atlanta, play it in Phoenix, play it in SoFi. It doesn't matter. It's a football game. You got to go out and execute. You got to go out.
I don't know if there's ever been a number 1 team in the country that's a more than a touchdown underdog. I don't know if that's ever happened. So,
yeah,
if you're a gambling man, there you go.
Yeah.
Also, if you're also a gambling man, here's a stat for you: Kirby Smart at Georgia, 2-9 when the team scores 30 points on them. What'd you say our average is? 49.4?
49.4. Yeah.
49.4.
Tennessee's got a chance, man. Let's just say that. Let's put it there.
And that's the thing. It's like Tennessee doesn't need a miracle to go in and beat Georgia. If you're thinking that, that's stupid because this is a really good football team. Both these teams are really good on paper. Tennessee's got the offense, the defense seems to be getting better. And Georgia does it kind of the same way they've always done it. Ground and pound on offense. They got a stable running backs. I'll go ahead and say it. They're RBU. I mean,
for sure.
Who would you argue that? So,
you can maybe argue they're like a 10-year stretch at Alabama, but Georgia's been doing it for a lot longer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they got every year they got multiple guys. And they got the best tight ends in the country. Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington, both those guys are averaging over 17 yards per catch. So it's going to be like you said, a dogfight because, our linebackers, our safeties, the star position, all those guys have to show up because those guys can, hurt you in a hurry.
For sure.
Now, the caveat of that, I think it does. I'm interested how the defense plays because, Georgia's going to try to drive the field, and Tennessee is probably going to get off the field pretty fast, scoring. Hopefully don't have many 3, and hopefully it's just scoring. We'll just say that. So can they hold up for 4 quarters is something I'm interested in. Who plays corner? Is it Turnage? Danico Slaughter? You saw a lot from them yesterday. I understand it was Kentucky. They're not great. But I don't. There's no one like Ladd McConkey is their number 1 receiver. He's not somebody that I'm just like, ooh, like I don't even know who would be a receiver that.
I mean, that's one thing.
They don't have a Jalen
scary-
Hyde, a Cedric Tillman, or a Brew McCoy. They don't have either one of those guys.
and I mean, the Keyshawn Butte, I mean, that's the probably best receiver, just
That's all right. Yeah.
straight up that you've played this year. And Tennessee, I know Jaden Daniels was more of a runner at that point, especially due to injury, but I mean, that's the best one you've played so far. So yeah, it's
But the main thing, you got to run the football. Tennessee they've rushed for at least 177 yards in all their SEC games so far this year. I think you got to continue to be a balanced attack. I don't think you can let Georgia, who's only given up 85 and a half rushing yards per game. You need to level that out a little bit and try to get to that 177 mark because it opens up so much more in the passing game.
Well, and that's the thing that Tennessee's dangerous with is if you commit to the run, pass is going to be there and they'll beat you there. So I don't think it's necessarily a numbers mark Tennessee's got to get to. I think it's can you be threatening enough that they have to be honest?
Yeah,
I think is the key there. But yeah, you can't let them just stop you early for sure. So
yeah, because I think we had 55 rushing yards or something last year in this game. So definitely got to get it done on the ground. I think this is going to be a big game for Jalen Wright. I think he's running like a man possessed right now. I'd like to see him get the ball more. I think you're going to get doses of Jabari Small and Hendon Hooker as well. But I think Jalen Wright and this offensive line is going to have a huge task at hand with Jalen Carter. Nolan Smith is out. I think that's good for, he does lead the team in tackles for loss and sacks, even though it's 3. It's not a ton, but still, he's, a big part of their defensive front. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a huge test for this offensive line. But, again, so was Alabama. We've played somebody similar. I know Alabama's defense is probably not as good as Georgia's, but we've played at least a similar caliber. They have never seen an offense like this.
Yeah, I mean,
not even close.
As far as defenses goes, you played Alabama, Kentucky, Pitt, who held you to your least amount of points scored. You played good. You played very good defenses up to this point. So, hey, I do want to get to some questions before we completely get past them. Troy, we will give score predictions at the end. So hang with us, and we'll do that. We also got, would you rather play in Atlanta or Arizona? I'll breeze through this one real quick. I want to play in Atlanta in the semifinal. I don't want to have to travel to Phoenix and then a week later go to LA. So let's get the Peach Bowl. Same for you?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that's personally. I don't care about this football team. They'll play anywhere, anybody, anywhere.
Here's the thing. I'm going to do it regardless. But, yeah, I'd rather go to Atlanta than –
We do have a friend in Phoenix. So, Macy, if you're listening, just go ahead and get your guest bed ready just in case. Landon can sleep on the couch. Is the loser of this weekend, this is from Draft Alex, is the loser of this weekend gets blown out? Are they out of the playoff picture? This is a playoff game. Not just SEC championship playoff game. This is a playoff game. I know it comes in week 8, and that's weird to say, but you have number 1 and number 3. Either whoever wins this is number 1, and whoever loses it, even if it's not a blowout, could potentially be eliminated because you still have Alabama probably at 1 loss. Will be playing in the SEC championship game. TCU, I expect to slip up, but right now they're undefeated. Clemson could slip up this week. If they don't, they're going undefeated. This is a playoff game. So win or lose, you could be eliminated. If you want to give yourself a chance, though, after the regular season, whoever loses has got to keep it close if you want to stay in playoff picture.
Yeah, I definitely think you need to show out in this game, whether you win or lose. But if you do end up losing this game, I'll never consider myself a Georgia fan, but I will hope that they beat Alabama in the SEC championship because I think that would be your only way. Like if Alabama beats Georgia, you're out.
Right.
So that would be the only way that we, could slip in there. Obviously you got to let it take care of itself.
For sure. And take care of your own business.
Yeah. Control what you can control. And that's this week. It's right in front of you. Control that game. Then, you don't really have to worry about it and make it up to the committee. But here's the thing about the committee. They've already said that they respect you.
That's another thing. I'm not saying you're 100% out. Robin Jones has already said that is not what Chapman of the new football ranking stated in an article. I don't know what she's referring to. I'm assuming saying you're probably out if you lose, regardless of how it looks.
Well,
first off,
she said that she's stupid, or whoever that is.
I don't know who Chapman is. But
She or he is stupid.
the thing is, I mean, I lost my train of thought there. The thing is it doesn't automatically cost you. Tennessee's at number 1. They put you at number 1 because they're leaving room for error, essentially. That's why they put you at number 1. Now, the flip side of that is it's going to be hard to deny a Big 12 undefeated champion. I know they put them at number 7, but if they stay undefeated and win the Big 12, that's tough to deny them. Same for ACC. I know their schedules aren't great, but how do you keep them out? And then, like you said, if Alabama wins the SEC championship, their 1 loss, that puts them in. That puts Georgia 1 loss in with a win over Tennessee. How do 3 SEC teams get in?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
And then if Oregon continues taking care of business, they get put in the picture. They've already said that LSU's number 10. That means if they somehow beat Alabama, they go to the SEC championship. Could they get in with a loss to Tennessee? And then, and here's another thing: the college football playoff forgets about week 1 losses often, very often. Does that? I'm not saying it's an automatic disqualifier. Don't hear that. But to say something weird couldn't happen there if LSU somehow does that, it could get weird, and then things. And like you said, you're relying on other people, and it's not a computer-based system, which would work out better for Tennessee if LSU did that. It would work out better for Tennessee. It is individuals choosing you, and then bias comes in, and then just eye test is more of a factor. So it gets dicey. You take care of business, or you lose close to Georgia. That probably doesn't happen, or it definitely doesn't happen if you take care of business. I just don't. The chairman. Apparently Chapman's the chairman of, I didn't know that was his name. Or she said the chairman, not the Chapman. The chairman of the college football playoff stated that, I guess, in an article. I didn't see that. They're not putting 3 SEC teams in, especially
if we lose this weekend, we're not out of the top 4. So that doesn't.
Well, probably.
I don't think we're out of the top 4.
You still have Clemson there if they win.
Clemson's ass. Okay,
I don't disagree, but
no,
we know the committee loves Clemson a heck of a lot more than they love TCU.
Well, if they ever watch Clemson play, they'd learn quickly. Hey, this isn't the. If you don't watch Tennessee and that fan base and think if I'm just from the outside looking in, all I see is dollar signs. How do you not want Tennessee in the playoff? How do one of these venues not want Tennessee's fan base to come?
They obviously want them. That's why they're at number 1. I mean, resume is a part of it, but you could.
They don't respect Michigan because they played a crap non-conference schedule. They haven't beat anybody. They beat Penn State. Whoop-de freaking do. Penn State has James Franklin, so they're irrelevant. They have a bad quarterback. They're not good. TCU's a fraud. They're going to get beat, so it doesn't matter. Clemson's going to sit there. But guess what? We'll get two SEC teams are going. Oregon, I don't care. You lost 49-3. If Tennessee doesn't lose 49-3 to Georgia, you're ahead over Oregon.
Should be. Agreed.
So
two SEC teams are going. I don't disagree with that fact.
Okay. Yeah.
But 3, highly unlikely. And so that is where that comes in.
Said
I'm trying to read this. Robin linked me this article.
You would have put Alabama in the top 4 if you wouldn't get so much flack for it. If there wasn't so many undefeated teams, Alabama would still be in the top 4.
Yeah, I'm going to scan, Robin, I'll read it later. I'm going to scan this article just to get the quote real quick. But I don't think we had any other questions. Matt said 38-35 either way. If Georgia scores a lot of points, I do get concerned. If Georgia scores over 35 or 35, I do get concerned about Tennessee a little bit, just because I got to respect Georgia's defense, what we got them right now. That gets earning. But, yeah, I feel good about the weekend. Let's get back on track with Georgia there.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't hate the jab. I don't hate the jab from Eric Ainge. But maybe that stadium didn't need any bulletin board material. Maybe those fans didn't need to be riled up any more than they're going to be for that 3:30 kickoff on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, how loud can they actually bark though? Is the question.
Really loud. If you sat next to a Georgia fan, it's obnoxious.
Well, they screwed up by having those stupid bushes all around their stadium. It just holds in that sound, so it doesn't even seem as loud.
It absorbs it.
Yeah, it just blocks it. Hey man, the offense, we're gonna do what we do, and that's take care of the football. You know, you look at the teams that Georgia struggled against this year: Missouri, Florida, Kent State. Those teams won the turnover battle.
Mhm.
And what's one thing Tennessee does on offense? They take care of the football. They don't put it in harm's way. Fumbles haven't been an issue the past couple of games. Let's knock on wood a little bit. But, you have a quarterback that's going to take care of it. If you win the turnover battle, I think Tennessee wins this game. I mean, I don't. I think they're scoring in the 30s. So if you're turning the football over with, an offense that, I know they have a ton of yards, but I mean, again, like their shutouts are against Samford and Vanderbilt. So can we really give them credit for that? Is that I mean, good for them. You shut out two of the worst teams in college football. So
yeah, they've certainly.
I'm all for it. I'm just I don't like Georgia in any sport. Again, I hate the gray pants. I think that's just idiotic, and that dog collar that they have around their jerseys is abysmal. And Stetson Bennett, he has surprised me. I thought he was, just a game manager, but he is really good. You got to keep him in the pocket. They've only given up, I think, 7 sacks in 8 games, so that's something. I know Amarius Mims might be out; he's questionable, so that might help you a little bit. But they got to find a way to get pressure on Stetson Bennett, keep him in the pocket, and get off the field on third down. I think they were. Against Missouri, they're like 2 for 15 or something like that. And Tennessee did a great job last week against Kentucky on third down. So when you get in third and long, you gotta get off the field.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, Tennessee's doing a lot better in third and longs. Those third and shorts, not only does that trouble Tennessee, but it also gives the offense a thought towards fourth down, which it can be Tennessee's Achilles heel per Florida. Yeah, you talking about Stetson Bennett, kind of going back to that. The thing that kind of worries me about him, he's not played his best football because we saw it down the stretch last year, and Tennessee's game last year, November 7th, I believe, that was his best game to date, and that's where he kind of had his coming out party. He's not going to kill you like Bryce Young scrambling around, but what he does a good job of is being aware, moving around in the pocket, getting out of the pocket when appropriate. Talk about a guy that can be level-headed when given the opportunity. And so I don't think it's necessarily about Tennessee being able to bring him down, but keep him in the pocket. Make him make these throws out of the pocket.
Make him see over that gigantic offensive line he has. I mean, what is he, 5'8"? No offense, Caleb. No offense. I'm sorry. I'm
5'9". All right, I'm 5'9". I don't wear my boots, so we're not going to do that.
Stetson Bennett is also a short king.
Not as
he's 5'11". If he's 5'11", I'm 6'2".
But yeah, he's a good quarterback, and he uses the weapons around him really well. I saw Matt Rimmer mention Brock Bowers, their leading receiver. I believe Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington are in their top 4 receivers. So
they're
and then
top 3.
Top
Brock
3 okay.
is 1, and Darnell Washington is 3. Yes, Latin Conk is 2.
And then I believe McIntosh is 4. Okay. I believe. Is that his name? I feel like I just said that wrong.
Kenny McIntosh.
Yeah, okay. All right. McIntosh, when I said it, just sounded wrong. But yeah, I believe he's number 4. So he does a good job of using the weapons around him, and he's a guy that's level-headed. I mean, it wasn't that he had his best game against Tennessee last year, but to date, he hadn't played that good, and then he just went on a tear to win a national championship. And there's no denying that Stetson Bennett's a good quarterback. So yeah, containing him is going to be key. I know Missouri, if you follow Austin Burlish on Twitter, and you should, he talked about right out the gate, Missouri just spied him to make sure he did stay in the pocket. I think with the way Tennessee blitzes, that's a good option to utilize. especially when you have linebackers. All three, Jeremy Banks, Aaron Beasley, and Jawan Mitchell, can both play sideline to sideline really well. I think it's a great option to go in and spy him and make him earn anything that he has to get.
Yeah, we do a pretty good job of utilizing our playmakers on offense too. You got Jalen Hyatt, Ramel Keaton, Brew McCoy, and also a healthier Cedric Tillman, who, may I remind you, had 10 catches for 200 yards and a touchdown against Georgia last season. So that's all I got about Georgia. We got a special guest coming on, reoccurring guest, friend of the pod, Ryan Shumpert with Rocky Top Insider. Ryan, what's up, brother?
Oh, not much. Doing well. How you guys doing?
Good. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I was trying to remember when the last time I came on was, and I think it was near the start of last football season, 2021 season. So
Okay.
I think we're going on a little over a year. So glad to
Well, happy anniversary.
glad to get the invite back on and join again.
Different outlook too than that start of 2021. Very different.
Yeah, just a little bit, bit different expectations. The conversation in the last whatever it's been 14 months or so.
So, have you pinched yourself at all? This number one ranking. Is it? What's your kind of thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't think I've had to pinch myself about the number one ranking, just because it's cool. The fans should celebrate number one. They should be excited about it. But whether Tennessee was number 2, number 3, number 1, I don't think they're going to be any lower than number 3 in the initial college football play. This game on Saturday was going to decide who's going to be number 1 the rest of the regular season. So certainly, I think during the Alabama game was kind of a moment for me, but haven't had it this week and kind of on to the business that the Vols have in Athens.
What's this? So we talked about it. So we had you on right before 2021 season. Has the mentality in the program and in the facility in your eyes changed, or is it kind of in your eyes led up to this moment? How is Josh Heupel managing it? How's he gotten to this point?
I think the mentality's changed from then. Last time I was on here, just because I was so early in Heupel's tenure. I don't think maybe Heupel's mindset's changed, but for the team to kind of fully take on his personality and fully adapt to him, and I think Hendon Hooker taking the reins as Tennessee starting quarterback with Hendon Hooker's personality and kind of even kill nature is very similar to Josh Heupel's. So I think you've kind of slowly seen it morph, and I think some of the players talked about, it was in the offseason really where they felt like, all right, we're not just going into games hoping we can win, thinking we can win, we expect to win. And this year on the field, and certainly Josh Heupel deserves a lot of credit for that mentality installed in the team, and I think it's consistent. We've heard players say, no, I didn't expect for us to be this good this quickly, and I think that kind of honesty and lack of coach speak that Heupel has a lot when he talks about the turnaround of the program, I think that genuineness really carries over to the players.
Yeah, what's kind of been like? What have you been most impressed with this team? I guess kind of X's and O's wise or position wise that's really changed from last year to this year.
To me, it's the offensive line, and to me, they're night and day better, which is kind of funny to say because it's 4 of the same starters, and but I just go back to a lot of games last year. Really the best teams Tennessee played, they struggled to run the ball. Florida, Alabama, Georgia, they couldn't run the ball. You go to even a lot of games, even besides those teams, situations inside the 5-yard line, 3rd and short, Tennessee not very good at running the ball. And this year, that's completely changed. And they are very physical. And they line up on 3rd and 1, they go quick. Everyone in the stadium knows we're going to run the ball. And it feels like they're converting at 75, 80% success rate. And they haven't had a goal year where they haven't scored a touchdown in. So they've gotten a lot better there. I think that's a lot of credit goes to especially the 3 guys in the interior, Carvin, Mays, and Spraggins for being right. Moving back to right tackle has developed into me what seems like a first-round draft pick. And I think you also have to give a lot of credit to both Gerald Mincey and Jeremiah Crawford, who that was obviously one of the biggest talking points in fall practice all offseason, who was going to replace Cade Mays and play left tackle. Both those guys have had to do it. That's who the competition was between, and both pretty high level whenever their number's been called.
You mentioned short yardage from last year, and that kind of brings up the last play of 2021 in the bowl game. Princeton Fant definitely gets that carry now, right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
His success rate's through the roof. I mean, 100%.
It's 100% success rate, and I'm interested to see if they have a little wrinkle off of that fullback dive this week. They've really, from that look that they give and that kind of offset eye, it's almost every play has. I think every play has been a run. Almost every play has been the Princeton Fan out of that. I wouldn't be surprised if Heupel and Alex Golish have kind of had one in their back pocket to run something off of that to get someone open down the field on maybe a 3rd and short this week. I'm curious to see that at least.
Well, you mentioned that wrinkle. The wrinkle of just going under center, that's been unusual successful for Tennessee this year. The wrinkle of offset I formation has been very interesting to see. Me and Landon have tried to decide when that came in. Did they just decide Princeton Fant's that good when they had to put him in at running back in camp? I know y'all don't get to see a lot of practice. Was that coming into the season, or did they just discover it and it's like, let's put the ball in his hand behind the line of scrimmage?
That's a great question. It seems like something over the offseason that they definitely put in, and Heupel said they were kind of aware of it last year, but I think certainly they had a lot of installing they had to do last season that didn't involve their 3rd and short packages with Princeton Fan tied in getting the ball. But it does seem like it was added over the offseason. I think we even saw a little bit of that offset eye last season. Not much, but a little bit. And really from the start this year, they've run it a lot more in those situations. And to me, it's a really cool full circle for Princeton Fant, who from Laverne High School in Tennessee, 5th-year senior, has played running back, has played tight end, has played receiver, has played linebacker. He's played everywhere before settling at tight end. And it's kind of cool to, he has all those abilities to kind of play all those positions a little bit. It's been cool to see him kind of go back to whatever it was, maybe a sophomore year when he was getting some run at running back.
Yeah, and I do need someone to dog him a little bit for that UT Martin game. I try to follow press conferences. Maybe I missed it, but I need someone to ask him, how did it feel not to get the triple crown in the UT Martin game with that drop touchdown? Because we were talking about it. That would have been a fantasy points dream that day if he'd completed that one.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey had it this past weekend, and I think Cam Newton. That was the only college player I could remember doing it, in my lifetime. I'm sure there's been somebody else, but I think Cam did it in his lone year at Auburn against Ole Miss too, in an SEC game, and he was almost like that play. I'm going back to it. I don't know why it's tattooed in my brain so well, but Cam Newton like mosses an Ole Miss receiver for like a 30-yard receiving touchdown, and it's like, oh my goodness, this guy's unbelievable.
He earned his $250,000 for sure.
Yeah. Yes,
also, I don't appreciate you kind of taking shots unknowingly at my Carolina Panthers for bringing up Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. It's kind of a sore subject.
Yeah, I don't mean to take the conversation else, but that would they offer 2 first-round picks to trade Burns, and I couldn't believe. I mean, what was Carolina doing not taking that deal? If that report was
you got rid of everybody else, you might as well. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I hate them so much.
We'll get off the sore subject.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of a sore subject also, but I did see this on Twitter, and somebody brought it up to me that, like, Jeremy Pruitt deserves credit. What do you think about – do you think Jeremy Pruitt deserves any credit for any of the success Tennessee's having this year?
Jeremy Pruitt deserves credit for getting Hendon Hooker on campus, and after I think that's where the credit stops. And I think Jeremy's doing a pretty good job of playing kind of friendly towards Tennessee, at least the fan base right now. Maybe he's fishing for some of that credit. And it's funny, because I thought about this too with some of the comments, and I go back to really throwing it back 2012 Florida game. I'm in Knoxville driving the car with my dad to the game, and Johnny Majors is on the Ball Network, and Johnny Majors is talking about how he was talking about LSU. I don't remember how it came up, but he said, Nick Saban did a really good job there, and then Les Miles was able to capitalize and get a national championship. And I remember kind of being quiet in the car for a few minutes, and my dad goes, he's trying to get credit for Philip Fulmer winning the national championship a few years later. That's kind of how this Jeremy Pruitt situation feels to me. So, it's I'm sure, Tennessee, well, I'm not sure. I say I'm sure. Tennessee's offense probably would have gotten better with some of these guys naturally, even if Jeremy Pruitt was there and getting a new quarterback in. But I don't think Pruitt deserves any credit for what Josh Heupel has done to completely renovate and retool this offense. Besides the fact that, again, Hendon Hooker came to Tennessee to play for Jeremy Pruitt, which is pretty ironic. How how things worked out for Hendon Hooker that he got to have Josh Heupel be his coach when he committed to Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah, and Jalen Hyatt, I mean, he kind of only came here because South Carolina just, fumbled the bag. And also Cedric Tillman was just kind of gifted to us by Clay Helton, if I remember correctly, because Tyson Helton was our OC and USC didn't have room for him. So yeah, I'm not giving him any credit. You win 3 SEC games and we lose 30 transfers because you cheated. You don't deserve any credit.
Yeah, I'm on the same page on that one. I don't credit to Jeremy. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't sure he was going to be smart enough to be friendly to the Tennessee fans and kind of angle himself this way. But no, I don't think he's fooling anybody. Maybe other than balls picks.
Yeah, business is good on the gambling circuit, I guess.
I think he knows he's got a college job. He's got a college job when everything kind of finishes out. Now, Brian Niedermeyer, I guess he's accepted. He's going to stay in the high school ranks, and he can take his shots.
He's basically at a small college.
Basically. Well, he gets to give bags out now. It's very fitting for where he's at. It's going to really suck if somehow Tennessee gets in the I hope he blocked everybody he could, because if Carnell Tate somehow, the 1 in a million shot, if he somehow ends up at Tennessee, he better have everybody blocked or just go dark. I mean, there's no shot for him.
Well, Niedermeyer gets to be recruiter of the year at IMG because they literally just bring in 5-star after 5-stars. So he can hang his hat on that every single year.
Yeah, it's a good spot for him. It really is. He's recruiting to a high school that's got all the advantages in the high school recruiting ranks.
And that's I asked Landon this on Sunday. Where does this 2023 class end up if Tennessee? I mean, they're going to probably win 11 games this year at the least. Where does it end up in 2023?
That's a really good question, and I think so much of it's already resolved that I don't think you're going to see any radical change. I think Davion Hobbs is probably the big guy you kind of look at of, all right, this 5-star, Tennessee's right in the thick of this. That would really flip the ranks. And then the other thing I would look at is, it seems like every year around December when you have these staff changes and you have these coaching changes, a couple new names pops up on the board. I mean, you saw that last year with James Pierce, and then I believe it was Caleb Webb was another one who kind of came out of nowhere and Tennessee signed in December. So I think it's probably will have a good chance to end up inside the top 10. Once it gets inside that top 10, I think it's going to be pretty steep for them to get any higher. But I'll tell you what, that 2024 class early on looks really, really good. And the fact that they've been able to have so many of these top 100 guys in the 2024 class on campus for the Florida game, for the Alabama game, for these really awesome wins and crazy environments, I think that's the class you can kind of see Tennessee break through and start to recruit with the real elites, in the recruiting world.
Right.
Yeah, I saw a tweet today from Caleb Beasley, a 2024 commit, saying that he was the best defensive back in the country, regardless of class. And, a couple weeks ago, I was saying, hey, can we go ahead and, when he committed, I was like, hey, can we go ahead and get him on campus and get him in a uniform? And then Danico Slaughter and Brandon Turnage show out against Kentucky. I don't know if they saw his tweet or my tweet or whatever, but whatever they did, they need to keep doing. What was kind of your thoughts on that performance from those two guys?
Really, especially Danico Slaughter caught my eye because we've seen him a good bit at safety. We've seen him at the star some, but I can't remember ever seeing him playing corner out wide, and he was phenomenal. I mean, his physicality really carried over. He was playing press coverage, which you don't see from a lot of Tennessee's corners, and certainly the physicality showed up on the ball that he got in and jarred out into Juwan Mitchell's hands. But to me, that was almost like a light bulb coming on moment, or something that just kind of completely changes the potential of this Tennessee secondary. Because to me, I feel like Kamal Haddon's a pretty solid player. He's not an all SEC guy, but to me, he looks like he belongs out there and he knows what he's doing. And to throw Slaughter in there too, I think all of a sudden you have a pretty good one, or solid, much better than what Tennessee's had for a lot of the season, 1-2 corner. And then Brandon Turnage, he played well in that game. I've seen him play poorly at times this year, so I would probably want to see a bigger sample size before I buy too much into what he brings Tennessee. But look, Kamal Haddon and Christian Charles, they dressed out for the Kentucky game. It seems like they're going to be available to play against Georgia. To me, that rotation is going to become pretty interesting with how well those two guys played last week against Kentucky.
For
what
sure.
About a star position? Does Danico Slaughter not, get in that as well? Because, I mean, I guess you have what you have at safety, but, from the safety and star position, I don't feel like it's been anybody that's just solidified themselves as the clear-cut guy.
I'd agree with that, but at the same time, I think between Tamarion McDonald and Wesley Walker, you have two guys that are pretty solid at that star spot, and I think they feel good about both of them there. Now, maybe if they go back again, Jalen McCullough, when Jalen McCullough was out, it was a lot of Slaughter and Walker at safety. Maybe they would tinker a little bit more now, go Walker at safety, and maybe look at Slaughter at the star spot. But I think both those guys have played well enough that to me, they play better than the corners have, the out wide corners have. So I think they're comfortable with what they have there and feel good about playing Slaughter out at the corner spot.
Well, Walker looked good the other night too. I forgot to mention him. I kind of forgot about him. That's on me. But yeah, I thought he played well against Kentucky as well.
Yeah, he's just solid. He looks like a guy that's played a lot of college football, which obviously he has at Georgia Tech, and he's just solid. He's not going to bust, and to me, he's good blitzing from that star spot too. And I think he's one of Tennessee's best defensive backs to bring pressure.
Yeah, you mentioned that physicality too. His physicality is going to be important. I mean, his probably one of the more physical guys on the back end of that defense. That's going to be important this week. Trying to play with Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. I mean, if they get open free, it's going to be tough to stop. But is that what's going to be Tennessee's Achilles heel? How do you defend those tight ends this week? How do you make sure you get to Stetson Bennett? What's the key defensively? I think they had a great week. Do they have the confidence? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, if I knew how to stop Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. Someone would be paying me a lot of money to coach football. The thing I would say about that, and the thing I would say is the key for Tennessee's defense in this game is to stop the run. And I think this game's going to be decided on both lines of scrimmage, which, that's not some crazy noble thought that I just had. That's how most football games are decided. But when you look at, I think both these offensive lines are two of the best in the SEC. I think both these defensive lines are two of the best in the SEC. And to me, as well as Stetson Bennett's played this year, as good as those tight ends have been, if you can get Georgia in a lot of third and longs and bring those blitz packages without the threat of Georgia being able to run on you, to me, that's the recipe for Tennessee's defense to have success. And I think we've seen that really all year in the LSU and Kentucky game. That's exactly what they did to have a lot of success, was getting the opponent in third and long and then bringing pressure. So I think that's the case again. And it's going to be really interesting because, again, I have a sneaking suspicion that Tennessee's defense is going to play well. I think they've just quietly played a lot better really since that Florida game. And, the Alabama game, everyone looks at the big numbers, and certainly the numbers don't look good. But I think, one, when you get up early on Alabama like that, you're going to give up points. You're going to give up yards. Alabama's not going to go away. I think, two, you look at the blitz plays that have worked in just about every game this year. They didn't work in the Alabama game because they couldn't take Bryce Young down in the backfield. And as good as Stetson Bennett is at scramble drill and making plays with his legs, he doesn't have that quick twitch that Bryce Young has to kind of get out of pressure. So to me, that's going to be huge. And I think Tennessee's defense, to me, it's a big question mark in this game, and they've played a lot better as of late. And I kind of think they're going to continue to do that this week.
Yeah, I think Tennessee has a record-breaking sack number against Alabama with any other quarterback than Bryce Young. He was phenomenal. A lot of people want to talk about Tennessee's defense in that game. I don't know how you leave out Bryce Young's name when you mentioned that performance. It was all. I mean, I turned to everybody around me. I was like, we just watched one of the best college football performances of all time.
Yeah, it's our luck that we couldn't get dad bod Mac Jones for that game.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that's what's got to be a great feeling for Tennessee after that game is the talk all week. Is Bryce Young going to play? If he plays, probably not going to be 100%. I don't know how health-wise, how close he was to 100%, but Bryce Young can't play much better than he did in that game. And Tennessee took the best punch from him, and they still found a way to get a win. And the other thing I forgot to mention about the defense that game, Alabama had a defensive touchdown. So you give up 49 points. 7 of those in the fourth quarter came out of defensive touchdown, and you forced Alabama, Will Riker, to kick a long field goal there on that last drive and that obviously kind of ended up being the difference in the game.
Yeah, so who would be your X factor for the rest of the season? Let's say not named Hendon Hooker, because that's too easy. Sorry to put you on the spot. Did not let you prepare for this one, but I want to get your take because we've kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, maybe say Amari Thomas, just because to me he's been really good this year, but it feels like he's still just kind of scratching the surface, and it feels like he's playing better and better as the year goes along. And when I look at the defense, I kind of think you are what you are at safety. You kind of are what you are at linebacker. And one of the guys at the corner spot would maybe be another good answer to that. Nico Slaughter or Kamal Haddon, maybe Christian Charles as he continues to get more comfortable, if he can kind of get into a rhythm coming out of the injury. But I specifically look at the defensive line and think you kind of know what Byron Young is. You kind of know what Tyler Barron is. Amari Thomas seems to be the guy on that room that still continues to get better and better as the year goes on, and it's just kind of scratching the surface to how good he can be. And I think you even go back and look at how good Amari Thomas was from Ball State to now, and to me, it's maybe night and day is a little dramatic, but there's significant improvements, and I feel like he can kind of turn that up to another gear down the stretch of the season. And if he does, this Tennessee defensive line that's been good just becomes even more dangerous.
Yeah, I like that one because I think he's somebody that is a junior. He will be draft eligible. Does he get, kind of, I don't know, a good draft grade, I guess, for having the production he's had so far? I think that's going to be interesting to see come the end of the season, if he's able to, go up some draft boards. Because I saw one today where Jalen Hyatt's in the second round. Like, I mean, he was unthought of probably from NFL scouts and things like that at the start of the season.
It's going to be really interesting to me, a lot of these guys in the draft, and what does this, and obviously how the Tennessee season ends and how these guys play will have a big effect. But does Tennessee have a little bit of, the 2019 LSU comparison is the one people make a lot. And that team, I think even pretty early in the season, everyone said, all right, this is a lot of first round guys on this offense. And you don't really have that with Tennessee yet. And I'm going to be curious to see how much the success of this team kind of continues to pick up players' draft grades. And I mean, even Jalen Hyatt, like, you're right, he's come out of nowhere to be a second round pick. But to me, I mean, what's a guy got to do to be a first round pick? I mean, I know Tennessee doesn't run a super diverse route tree, and that's probably and his kind of slender frame is probably to knock on him. But my goodness, the way he can run, and the way football is played today, and the way the NFL is moving, he seems like he would be an invaluable guy that would go in the first round.
Yeah, he's going to be drafted by the Dolphins, probably, right? They don't have enough speed, so
it's good for him. It's gonna be interesting. What's his grade going into the combine? Because he's gonna. I mean, GMs just lose their mind at the combine. You watch him run a 4.3 40, you're gonna be foaming at the mouth to get him. And I don't know how much that helps him, or maybe they're factoring in that speed. I have no idea. I like the Amari Thomas one. He's been Tennessee's best interior lineman in recent memory by a long shot this year. His ability to stop the run game, penetrate, pass rush, and incredible. So I like that one a lot. I do want to ask you about another X factor, Cedric Tillman. I know he played last week, very limited. What were your thoughts of last week? Like, do you think he's at 100%? Do you think he's still trying to get there? Where is he at? And do we get a touchdown? Do we get moonshine cookies? What's the deal for Georgia?
I've made the observation a few times now. Man, could you imagine if we got moonshine? Jalen Hyatt was the moonshine cookies athlete. I mean, we would be feasting this fall.
Did they give us
Vegas had something to do with this? I know.
I think Cedric Tillman's close to 100%. Look, he practiced for really a good 2 weeks before coming back and playing in that Kentucky game. And even though he, from a statistical standpoint, didn't make a huge impact, look at Jalen Hyatt's 2 touchdowns in that game. Exact same kind of combination of routes. 2 guys go with Tillman, and it leaves Jalen Hyatt wide open. And I think Tennessee, what they're able to do with those stacks and stacking Hyatt and Tillman is that's a nightmare. And we've heard Jalen Hyatt even talk about it in some media that you can really scheme to take away one receiver. If you have 2 guys, you can't do that. And I think Tillman, to your point, is it really a great look for a breakout guy the rest of the year, just because Tennessee's offense has been flowing so well without him, and Jalen Hyatt has been getting so much attention that when you add him back into it and what we know he's capable of doing, man, it's really dangerous to think if this Tennessee offense can hit another level. And I even look at it, especially in a game like this against corners that are physical as Georgia's are. Tillman's the third and long, the third and intermediate, the timing route when Tennessee's got to get to the sticks. That's the guy Hendon Hooker feels the most comfortable with, and it's been that way for over a year now. And I think that is particularly important in a game like this against Georgia, especially if Tennessee's run game isn't as effective as it's been for a lot of the season. So you add all that in with what you guys said. Really, I think maybe right even before I jumped on here, big game Cedric Tillman. I mean, he always seems to show up in the big games, and I think certainly Saturday could be a start to kind of the breakout second half or latter third of the season.
I got one more football question, and then I want to get to the Fighting Tony Vitellos briefly before we get you out of here. Did you smoke a cigar for Alabama, and did you get to get on the field?
Didn't smoke a cigar. Smelt like cigars. Smelled like a lot of smoke.
You got secondhand smoke.
I got a lot of secondhand smoke, and I was down on the field, and yeah, I mean, what a scene! It was. I say it. I feel like I have these moments, once a month or every 2 months, and it depends on the season. You get it in basketball, you get it in baseball, and in football now this year, where it's kind of like I'm in the middle of working, and then it's just kind of feel calm over myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this, I have the coolest job in the world. I'm sitting here covering Tennessee athletics. Someone's paying me to do this. Are you kidding me? I'd be paid to be here, and someone's paying me to do this. How awesome is this? And certainly that Alabama moment was incredible. And then another story from being down on the field after the game. I had a friend that was there, and somehow I got reception, and I was able to call him. I was trying to find him, and can hear every couple words, and I hear kind of what yard line he's at. I'm trying to find him, and I'm on the phone, and then eventually I go, Marco, I don't know if you can hear me, man, but you're one of 50,000 people on the field wearing orange right now. I'm in a bright green sweatshirt. You're going to have to find me. I'm sticking my hands up. You're going to have to find me. But my buddy found me, and we took some pictures down on the field, and it was certainly a really good time.
That's awesome.
So is that your number one moment? It has to be, right? I know there's been some cool, like you said.
Yeah, and no, it really is. And I think a lot of them had been basketball before. And, even like the Arizona game was one last year where it's 17-2 Tennessee 3 minutes in, and that place is just an absolute madhouse. And that's kind of one of the things that, I don't know if don't like's the right word, but kneeling in the press box, it's not open air. You're so high up. You kind of get removed from the atmosphere a little bit. That's something I love about basketball season. And we're right down there on the court and just kind of been in the madness of it. But with all that said, yeah.
How long did it take Josh
looking down on the field and seeing 60,000 people was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is as good as it gets.
How long did it take Josh Heupel to get to the press conference? I know he apologized to you all. What was that? Did y'all put him on a count?
It's 75 minutes. Yeah. I didn't have him on a count, but as I was down on the field for a while thinking, okay, I got plenty of time. And then eventually I'm like, all right, I should probably get back there. I get back there and he still was 25 more minutes. And towards the end, I went to see what time my last tweet was during the game to figure out when it was. And it was about 75 minutes, but I don't think anybody was blaming him.
Yeah, no, he smoked a couple cigars, and I hope no one complained about deadline that night. He had good reason.
Yeah, certainly. Fortunate not to have been on deadline, not to be a newspaper guy who had to deal with that.
I would have loved to saw you on the field because me and Caleb swapped jerseys, so it'd been cool to have a green jersey in there as well with us. So that would have been cool.
I don't remember what game it was, but it probably wasn't that game. Maybe that game or Florida game. But Caleb, your all orange jumpsuit you wore to one of those games was absolutely fantastic. I don't think I ever messaged you about it or responded to it, but it was an awesome look.
I appreciate it. I bought it for the Final Four last year. Didn't get to break it out. Alabama felt like the right time. So
yeah, I agree.
Worth it. Yeah, it took him a little bit to get out of that jacket, so we could actually swap.
I showed up to Landon's house about 4:30 that morning to pick him up to tailgate, and he was just laughing. And I was like, "Danny White tells me to wear all orange. I'm showing up in all orange. I don't know what you want me to do." So
yeah, we do as Danny White says now. He's the Godfather. Ron, I do want to ask you about baseball real quick. I know you've been on. You're awesome. We had to start a little bit later, so appreciate you doing that. But you've been covering some fall baseball a little bit. We don't get to see that. Who are some? What have you seen so far from the guys, and who are some names maybe Tennessee fans need to know? I know Maui Ahuna's got to be on that list, right?
He is, and man, what he can do with his glove and in the field is impressive. Is really anything I've seen in college baseball. I mean, Liam Spence was so good defensively and so solid defensively, and Max Ferguson was really flashy at second base. I kind of feel like Maui's kind of has a little bit of both. He is so pure in making the easy plays, and then just makes some plays that it makes you turn your head. And another guy that I don't know how big of a role he'll see this year because he's a shortstop and Maui is going to be the starter there, is Austin Jaslov. He's a redshirt freshman. He's been really impressive. He's hit the ball really, really well. And I think when you look at the other guys in the field, there's tons of competition in the outfield. Cincinnati transfer Griffin Merritt kind of got off to a slow start in the fall, but has really hit the ground running now and has been really good. The three freshmen, Dylan Dreiling, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Reese Chapman, and then Alex Stanwich. Those guys all have good days, all have bad days. To me, Chapman has been the most impressive of them so far. And another guy that I'll be interested to see how he makes an impact is Gavaris Tears. He's also a redshirt freshman. He could rake last year in fall, and there wasn't a position for him to play. He wasn't a natural position. He was a little overweight. Now he's not overweight. He looks like a guy that spent a year in the college weight room. And obviously, again, it's kind of the same situation with Jaslov, where Blake Berkey knows he's going to be the starter at first base. And that's kind of where he's settled more in the corner outfield spots. But his bat's really, really good. And I think he'll be a guy that has a great chance to be a DH. And then I just mentioned them, and it's no surprise, but Blake Burke I think he's going to hit 20 home runs this season. I think he might hit 25 home runs this season. If he doesn't get injured, he's breaking Tennessee's all-time home run record by the time he gets to conference play in his junior season. So he's still got to get through this season. He's going to get it before.
Hey, Joe,
clip
that.
Yeah, it's going to be 18 months before that prediction comes to fruition, but I believe it with all my heart. And I guess it was a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I can't remember, but one day I was over there watching him scrimmage. He hits a line drive homer over the video board in right field. It's probably, besides the Drew Gilbert home run against Wright State, the farthest home run I've seen hit at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. And then his next time up, it's another home run. It's all those crazy numbers of whatever ended up being. I think he had a home run once every 9 at bats last year as a freshman. I don't think that's a fluke. I mean, maybe he probably those numbers this year, especially with how he's going to be pitched to in the middle of Tennessee's lineup. But he's going to hit a lot of home runs, and he's going to be a real pain in the side of a lot of SEC teams.
Yeah. What else? What about Christian Moore, Kyle Booker, some returners there? What have you seen from those guys? Yeah,
Christian Moore has been really solid. I think has been a lot better with his glove and defensively, just a lot more consistent. And he came in, he played shortstop in high school, and he moved to Tennessee. So I think there's just a better comfort level there. And Kyle, we talked to Tony Vitello today. Kyle Booker was a guy he was very complimentary of. It has really come alive. And the last couple weeks of fall, last 2 weeks of fall practice, really. And I think he is thick. And maybe Griffin Merritt's probably the one guy I feel out than anybody else in the outfield. But behind him, I think Kyle Booker is in the thick of it. As good as a chance to start as anybody, especially at center field. And it's funny you bring it up. This all come back to me. I think when I came on here last year, we were talking about it a little bit, and I said I'm all aboard the Kyle Booker hype train. Obviously, it did not come to fruition last year. End up having a big part or a big role on that Tennessee team, but I think he's going to at least have an opportunity to kind of carve out a starting role and be really good. And then, I guess it gets a few names there. One, I guess the first thing I'd say, walking in and watching him scrimmage one, I didn't even know Dolan was throwing, and I see there's like 40 people at home plate. I'm like, what the world's going on here today? What is this? Chase Dollander was on the mound, and they were all MLB scouts, and it was more than I'd seen at the midweek games or when I first started covering the team. And man, it was a really cool reminder of how far Tennessee baseball has come. And then 2 names at Tennessee, but haven't really had major roles that have really nice falls is Wyatt Evans and Jake Fitzgibbons. Both those guys left-handed arms. Fitzgibbons was the best I've seen him earlier this week in a scrimmage. And then Wyatt Evans, he was kind of right outside the kind of dependable bullpen guys last year, was one of their main mid. His off-speed stuff's gotten a lot better. Vitello mentioned his fastball command needs to be a little sharper, but he's looked really good when I've watched him this year. And it's kind of been a lot of the guys in this, they kind of don't go too hard on Chase Burns and Drew Beam's arm as they kind of still are recovering a little bit from, you just go back and look at those guys. Their last years of high school, you had COVID and Drew Beam didn't pitch. And to do that and to go from the amount of innings they threw in those type of seasons to what they did last year, I think it's kind of being wear down towards the end of the year, and it's really impressive that Burns didn't. So those guys haven't gotten a ton of action to this point, but goodness knows they'll be ready to go the season, and we'll have major roles in that pitching staff.
Yeah, I've just heard a lot of I just keep hearing lefties. You talked about arms. I'm thinking bats too. You got Ron Denton from Alabama, Maliahuna, Blake Burke, Jared Dickey. I mean, I know we hit a lot of home runs last year, but that right field is going to be heads up to the pitchers. Richard Jackson, you might want to put a cover over that bullpen out there.
You're right, and you hit the nail on the head. It's a great combination to have good lefty power hitters and stadium in this Tennessee program, and that was about the first thing that I thought of when Denton committed to Tennessee. What I believe was back in June or July when he committed to Tennessee. I mean, he hit two of his home runs, maybe around 11 home runs he hit last year. He hit two of them in Lindsey Nelson Stadium to right field. So it's a good combination for those guys. They were bombs.
They weren't close to that short fence. They were.
No, yeah, they didn't have to worry about that.
One of them wasn't in the Blake Burke. It wasn't the realm of quite the longest home runs I've seen, but it was up there. It was in the Christian Franklin. He hit one out to left center in that Arkansas series 2 years ago. It was kind of in that realm of, my goodness, that ball was murdered.
Well, I mean, what a time to change sides to Tennessee, right? With football, and
good point.
So, yeah, many are saying he's the good luck charm, and look, I don't know if this is what Tony was intending to do today, but when Tony was talking about Denton, he said, he wants to play for a winner. He wants to win. He wants to play in these big games. And again, I don't know if that was his intention, but it seemed like a nice subtle shot at the Alabama baseball program.
Hell yeah,
Tony's never jawed around. He's pretty quiet about things.
He hates Alabama anyway.
I'm sure he didn't mean to.
Last year, there's no love lost there.
I love it.
No, not at all.
Well, that's kind of all I got. Ryan, we really appreciate you hopping on here. I do want to, we had Ben McKee on recently, and he was just dogging you. No, that's not true. But if you want to, throw shade at him, I'll give you the floor and let you have at
it. The only shade I ever throw at Ben is I just make fun of him for being bald. So, Ben, you're bald.
Isn't he from Alabama? Is he an Alabama fan?
He is a Bammer, and look, I think he is in the sense that my brother lives in Birmingham. I know he's the same way. I think those people had a special appreciation for Tennessee beating Alabama. And my brother's he went to Samford for college, I guess, 2012, 2013, something like that. So he's been living in Birmingham ever since. He's never seen Tennessee beat Alabama. He's out of basketball and baseball, losing a lot of games to Alabama that I know kill him. So I'll give Ben his kudos there. I think he probably appreciated that win as much as anybody.
Well, we can dog him and Landon about being Yankees fans. Just biggest bandwagon group. Right. I guess you're a Cubs fan, judging by the W flag in the background.
Which hey, there wasn't a bunch of good stuff to talk to this year, but look, I cannot stand the Braves. Growing up in the South as a Cubs fan, and I have the perfect line to them, and that's Cubs went 6-0 against the Phillies this year. That's some in Atlanta can't.
Good point. It's a good point.
Yeah,
I'm still
I hate the
hungover
Atlanta
from the
Braves.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm still hungover from the 16 World Series. I'll say that if Tennessee wins a national championship, do whatever you want for like the 10 or 15 years after you win. I'll enjoy it. I don't care. So we're good.
I'm just glad they got it because I don't quite have that same mentality you did. I'm very jealous of the Braves and their ability to lock up their core very quickly at cheap prices after winning a World Series, which obviously the Cubs never did. But I love Kyle Schwarber. I love Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah,
and it's been cool to see Rizzo have one of the best years of his career and built for him. And it's been awesome to see Kyle Schwarber hit tanks for Philly all season and all postseason. I think he hit one tonight too.
Yeah, it definitely it sucks to go. It sucks to go drought, but being a Tennessee fan, and I was 3 years old in '98. Give me a championship. I'm so jealous of LSU. Just give me a championship and I'll be happy. Whatever.
Fly forever, baby.
That's right. You can't take that. Auburn didn't have to give back a national championship. I think Alabama got hit with some voids of a national championship season. You can't.
Yeah,
Reggie Bush should have never gave back his Heisman.
Reggie Bush is Heisman. That's all you got to give back.
Come and take it.
Yeah. But all right, Ryan. Well, appreciate you hopping on. We'll have to do this again more often. We won't wait a year this time. We'll get you back on to your baseball season, and we'll talk some Fighting Tony Vitellos.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I guess one other note I'll say, to watch basketball practice again today. It's going to be really good. I think they're going to spend a lot of the year in the top 5. So the fun's not ending with football season by any means, and we know once the Fighting Tony Vitello is there's going to be a lot of entertainment and a lot of fun as well.
100%.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ryan. We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
We'll look for you Saturday on the field too. Lime green shirt.
Yeah.
There we go. Lime green shirt.
We're storming.
Nice easy to spot me.
I love
Spend the
it.
night in Athens County Jail.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Exactly.
Worth it.
Nice.
Have a good
guys.
one.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
We appreciate Ryan hopping on. Fun. I know Landon said few and far between. Unfortunately, we'll get him on more often. Love the coverage he does, and appreciate the time he's given us and gave us.
Yeah, go check his stuff out at Rocky Top Insider. He does a phenomenal job covering everything. I mean,
blame that on Landon.
Wait, what?
We forgot to let him plug his stuff, so we'll blame that on Landon. And
that's my fault. Go check him out. He had a day today. He had media with Tony Vitello, Josh Heupel. I don't know if Rick Barnes is probably in there too. I mean, he got everything today and then hopped on our show, so we appreciate him doing that. Joe, we haven't seen Joe yet. Joe, what is up?
Joey Boots on the ground. Give us the vibe.
Did you look like a top-ranked team in the country? That's what you just look like right now.
Dude, I wish I could say I felt that way. I don't know what I have, but your boy is hurting bad. We're sick.
Dang.
You probably have the flu like everyone else in Knoxville.
I think it is the flu.
Well, I was gonna come at you for not coming to the tailgate on Saturday, but I guess you're sick. I gotta kind of thank you for it.
Yeah, I've been fighting hell all week, dude. It's been bad. Tomorrow's gonna be my up day. I'm gonna force myself to be good by Saturday because I gotta have that energy. I can't be sick for the game day, obviously.
Are you going to the game?
No, I got stuff I technically have to be in Knoxville for this weekend. Otherwise, I would totally be there front row on game day, camping out overnight just to be that one guy in Tennessee. I think it'd be cool if we just flooded like 1,000 people in there and just camped them overnight, and it looked like it was in Tennessee. But
yeah, that would be fun. It's painted orange, baby.
You heard Joe. Make it happen.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yep.
Do it.
I won't be there. I'm sorry. I wanted to.
Yeah. Well, those ticket prices aren't really friendly either, so
they don't help.
Yeah, good God. I mean, at some point, like, is everybody just going to stay home? I mean, I understand, like, the demand that Tennessee, when they're good, it gives off. But, I mean, I would never pay that. I'm sorry. I'll pay that for I'll pay that for a national championship, but I'm not paying that for a regular season game. Alabama game, I don't know if I'd pay that for. Looking back now, yes, I would pay. I would have the outcome.
Yeah,
but yeah, for the chance of losing, I don't know if I'd pay that.
You tell me I get to French the goalpost twice that night. I'm paying a lot of money.
Oh, dude, that goalpost has some diseases.
Not for me. Not Landon. You got to preface that. Not for me.
I don't know.
Yeah, you did. We made out multiple times. We kiss all the time. Just guys being dudes.
Yeah, it's all for fun. It's all for the balls, Somebody kissed Joe and got him sick. Yeah, who's Frenching you, Joe?
Seriously.
Joe got it at the ball this weekend.
Yeah.
Got the flu.
I think the ball's cool.
It is. I think it opened under a new name, though. So we need to know that new name because soon a generation ain't going to know what I mean when I say the ball, and that's very upsetting.
That's upsetting.
I can't remember what it is.
It's
I want to say Fridays, but that's what Uptown is now.
It's something like Uptown opened up under a new name.
What'd you say?
Uptown is yesterday's now, but Fridays is a bar. Fridays is a bar in Nashville, isn't it?
Yes, I think
yesterday's. So. Okay.
And
I was a little inebriated when I passed it the other day, so I guess it could have been yesterday. Let's what do we have? Oh, NIL. A little bit, not much. I think it is kind of a big deal that Danny White did endorse it today and mention the Lady Vols Boost Herd Club and then Spire Sports Group. I think that's big just because like having, I think he's always backed it, but like come out and say like this, it just gives them more credibility. And I just think more backing that, hey, we can do this, this, and this because we have the AD's backing. at this point.
Yeah, I think it's great for just like not just kind of backing and the credit. I mean, the credibility because of the way because of NIL is how it is, and there's a lot of collectives. You do need that backing to get the credibility. So I think that's not that I'm not saying the others aren't credible. I'm not like don't hear me wrong. You still give your money who you want to give it to. I think there's a lot of fans though that wanted direction, if that's the right word, and that gives them that. So I think it's just going to bring more money potentially to all the collectives, but to the student athletes overall.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to be associated with the university. Now that it is,
it's associated with the university.
Well, I mean, I guess the endorsement.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was about to ask
because like if you're just sitting here asking money, there's stuff kind of like NIL, like associated with NIL. Out there for a bunch of different things, but it's hard for somebody to hone in and be like, is this real? Am I getting something out of it? Like, what is this actually going to? I think it be like Danny White coming out and mentioning them by name definitely helps their case, in my opinion. Like I would give if I was giving money to that, which I will. I would definitely be more inclined to do it with somebody that's actually associated with the university.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think that's most fans' thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a little bit more of maybe what's the word I'm looking? Incentivization for obviously donating to those things, especially if it's a little more connected to university, like just cooler opportunities and more things to have. Not that the private collectives haven't already done that, but maybe just opening the door to more cool. Who knows?
Yeah, I think you'll have more access because you do have that relationship with Danny White, 100%.
Yeah.
College football.
Before we get to college football.
Oh, sorry.
What's your predictions?
Oh, predictions. Damn.
I forgot to get Ryan's. Ryan, if you're listening still, let's hear it. If someone has a chat open, I do not. I like Matt, resident dog fan of more important issues. I really like the 38-35 number. I'm going to go a little bit shorter than that. I think Tennessee has to hold Georgia to a few less. I like Tennessee 37-31. I think Tennessee scores points. I think Georgia scores points. I think it comes down to Georgia. I won't call it a defensive stop. I think it'll be kind of similar to the Florida game where it wasn't like they bowed up in the red zone. You just didn't have enough gas to keep up with Tennessee. So sure, the defense gets the credit, but I think that's more of the 15 seconds left, 60-yard bomb, something like that. Or just, stopped on their own side of the field. So, yeah, I think it's a close game, but I think Tennessee has the most firepower on the offensive side of the ball. 37-31.
Sure.
Yeah, I like I'm going 42-38 balls. I think Tennessee gets in the 40s, and I kind of think they have to get into the 40s to win this game. I know I mentioned that Kirby Smart's 2-9 when a team scores 30 points. Here's the thing. We scored 52 against Alabama, 42 against Georgia. I like it. No Nolan Smith. They just haven't played the offense that Tennessee has. They haven't played anything like it up to this point. Even last year when they played Tennessee, and Tennessee had their way. I mean, Cedric Tillman, 10 catches, 200 yards, a touchdown. So if you guard Cedric Tillman this time, hey, you forget Jalen Hyatt, who leads the nation in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. So
Amber McCoy, and then talk about the speed of Squirrel White. Yeah, Mel Keaton.
Hendon Hooker can run the ball. So yeah, I mean it's a lot to handle. I don't envy opposing defensive coaches at all.
No. Nope. Boots on the ground.
All right. So, I mean, I got to be, smart in the way I do things. First off, I want to say that Vegas has been wrong about Tennessee all year. They have no clue what they're talking about. So, I think
I don't understand it.
I think the spread's a joke. And normally I'm if I was a neutral fan, I would look at this game and go, 80% of the money is on Tennessee to cover as dogs. and probably bet sharp and just be like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and take Georgia with like no line movement or anything. But Tennessee's 7-1 against the spread. And honestly, that Florida game was a little bit of a fluke. That was pretty much covered till whatever. But while I do think if there is a game on our schedule that we looked at all year that was like, we were like, you could beat Alabama. The Georgia game was definitely a hard one. That being said, I got to be confident. I got to trust that Tennessee is not only going to cover the spread, but definitely win the money line. So I'm going 45-34 Vols. And I don't even think I think we're have a higher lead going into the fourth quarter, but they get like a touchdown back.
Let's go, Joey Booth. That's what I'm talking about, Joey.
Honestly, I want to take Tennessee minus 8. I wanted to just flip the line and say Tennessee minus 8.
You're not sick. You're fine.
I know, dude. I'm fired up.
All right, we got a couple Vols by Fiddy in here from Dub himself. His real score prediction, 40-33 Vols. I love it. I love it.
Dude, if we beat Georgia and we score a 50 burger on them,
the T-shirts are going to go crazy.
I know we tweet out the Hail Marys and stuff all the time, but I will be unbearable.
If Tennessee wins with a 50 burger, I will get 50 junior burgers from Pals. And so anybody that wants to dine in victory with me, 50 burger and a win, 50 burgers from Pals, 49 of my closest friends. You're invited.
And that'll be a 50 burger on Georgia and Alabama. When's the last time that's ever happened?
There's not many teams that get to say they play both of those.
Oh, I mean, like Tennessee. Like, has
never.
Tennessee ever done that?
Oh, never. There's no chance.
They've let up 50 burgers.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, at that point, you just sign whatever Josh Heupel wants to lock him in lifetime contract.
Literally, right? Like $80 million. I don't care. Just give it to him.
If he wins an Natty, you got to do it. You sell your soul, whatever you got to do. All NIL money goes to Josh Heupel, whatever.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's why let's be honest. We got Josh Heupel at the right time. NIL transfer. I know Josh Heupel's done a great job. You can't detract from that. He's played the hand he's dealt. But
you giving Jeremy Pruitt credit?
NIL transfer portal are the opposite of Jeremy Pruitt.
I know,
bags of money.
But you're saying we got him at the right time. So are you giving Jeremy Pruitt,
for getting fired? Yes. Yeah. Yes, I am. For losing to Kentucky and sticking with JG.
This is all because of Jeremy Pruitt. We appreciate him so much.
Standing ovation for how bad Jeremy Pruitt was. Yeah. Led us to Josh
Also,
Heupel.
like, if we're giving him credit, we got to give credit to Jared Garantano, too.
JG, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for Josh Dobbs, as much as I love him, he gave us extra years of Butch Jones. JG got Butch out of here and Pruitt out of here. He might be the most successful quarterback in QB history if Tennessee wins a national championship this year. He might be the most successful.
Clip that. Also, I don't know if we want to tweet that, but we're going to do it anyway.
You have to lead off with why. Don't put me on an island. You have to.
The clip of you saying JG is the most successful quarterback.
If Tennessee wins a chip, do we put a statue of JG outside the stadium? I feel like we almost have to, right? Like,
I think you do, but I think you only pay as much as Jeremy Pruitt's money would buy you in the statue. His buyout money that you saved.
You got to do the number where if you're looking at it a certain way, it turns to 5 for Hendon Hooker. If you look at it another way, it turns to 2 for JG.
So both of you all are for building statues for JG.
Yes.
Deal. Clip that. Clip it.
No contact, but we're building the statue.
And do one of Jeremy Pruitt grabbing JG by the face mask. That's what we need.
There we go.
Two birds with one stone. We have JG and Jeremy Pruitt with him grabbing him by the face mask. That is the statue.
I think you retire number 11, and then you let the fans decide. You don't say who for, Jalen Hyatt or Henry To'oTo'o. Does Tennessee win? And Tennessee's only won and kneeling in the last 15 years with Henry To'oTo'o on the opposing team. And they lost.
I literally have a Henry To'oTo'o jersey that I put duct tape and put Hyatt. I would get it for you, but it's in the garage.
We need to get that fixed and get a Graham on the back. I think he had B. Graham on his jersey. We need to get that done.
B. Graham?
B. Graham. I don't want you to mess up.
He texted me today.
Oh, we gating with him?
He was asking about Saturday.
Speaking of that, tell us where to tailgate because we're not setting up, I don't think. I've got to buy my tickets for the Missouri game because we gave those away in the Hacker Cup. Shout out to Tig. A lot of people didn't like that game. They were like, "Oh, that's the game you give us." How many of those people are spending $300 for a pair of tickets this week? Maybe you should have. Maybe if you were good at golf, you could have gotten in for free.
And it was the last home game.
Yeah, what about tickets for South Carolina too, Caleb?
Well, we were in the club level.
Oh, okay. Big
Yeah,
money.
we're living large in Columbia. This is my vacation for the year. I didn't get to go on one. So
you get to go to the South Carolina Fairgrounds.
We're going to Hall's. We're going to Hall's Shop House. We already picked out our steaks on their menu.
Okay,
we've already done that. Yeah, and I'm going to get an old fashioned, and they've got a Maker's Mark.
Hey, can you stop trying to make
them.
it sound cool? Columbia's not cool.
They do have a Hall's Chop House, and that place is phenomenal.
Hall's here is. I'm not going to say it, but
say it. Hall's doesn't have it. Fun fact. Sorry if anybody lives in Hall's right now.
Yeah,
I apologize.
we're just poking fun. You know?
I'm not, but I'm sorry. But yeah, let us know where you're tailgating.
Just out in Knoxville. Actually, don't, because
well, that would help your home value.
Maybe but it's also more traffic, and
you've locked in your interest rates. You're good.
That's true. I have. Thank God. I mean, 7.75. That's 7.75 is what the interest rate is right now.
Shout out to Austin White. Give credit to him. Not on the interest rate. I mean, we can blame him on him if he'd like.
Yeah, he is the Federal Reserve.
But shout out to him for getting Landon in a home on time.
Yeah, on time for sure.
Hey, if you need anything, give him a call. He'll take care of you. Good dude. Yeah. Good realtor.
Shout out Ham and Goodies, also friend of the pod, giving us some cookies, best cookies in the world. Joe, did you get cookies while you're at the tailgate?
I think so. A little fuzzy on that memory.
I mean,
why would you not
the best cookie of all time? I mean,
I do remember indulging on quite a delicious cookie. So yeah, I think
so there you go.
And I don't have it on tonight.
It helps bring back memory.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's facts.
University traditions. My black hat I left in the car, and I wanted to wear a black hat tonight. So I'm sorry, but shout out to University traditions. Best hats. Emily gets mad at me often when she sees me wearing a new one, but how can you not want to own every hat they have?
Yeah.
And it's almost Christmas season too, and they've got just about every Southern State union.
I need I want a University traditions like a crew neck. I need one of those things.
We'll talk to Adam. We'll see what we can get.
Yeah. That's what I need. I just don't look like I love hats. I just don't always look great in them. You know, Caleb can always pull off a hat. I can't. It depends on the day. My head's shaped weird.
I want to pull off a toboggan like Joey Boots. You said he looks like a number one.
It doesn't even cover the ears, dude. He's just a whole vibe.
I thought he looked like you said number one team. I thought he looked like a number one recruit. I thought we had someone coming on here to commit for a minute.
Oh,
swag, just drip.
5 stars.
I don't know who they were at all because, again, it was a blur after the Alabama game. But I saw, quite a few commits, and I just, chewed them out. I was like, if you don't come here, I'm going to – I was literally going crazy. I was like, I really hope it wasn't –
Now they're not coming here because Joe –
Yeah, I hope it wasn't too much.
I did see a couple of them on the field. I saw Caleb Herring. You can't miss him. I mean, he's massive. But – no, I didn't yell at him. I didn't say anything.
You were really friendly. It was cool. It wasn't it wasn't too aggressive.
He's still in college. He can talk to recruits. It's not crazy. Right. He's not a 35-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not.
Orange heart. You look 35. Shut up.
Oh my God.
College football. I didn't bet the Coastal. I didn't bet the Coastal over.
Who cares? We're at the top of college football, so this shit doesn't matter.
Irrelevant.
I did place a hefty bet tonight on Aaron Gordon, first point 3. I'm trying to pay for that South Carolina trip in full. It did not hit, boys. That would have been nice.
The first
3-pointer. First field goal, first basket scored to Aaron Gordon, 3-pointer, was plus 660. So I took a swing.
Damn. I mean, even just first basket's pretty elaborate, but making it a 3-pointer, you know what? Got the balls. You could just hammer Tennessee's money line this weekend, and then either way, it's you either got the funding for South Carolina, or you just don't go and watch from the depths.
God dang it. Jamal Murray made a 3-pointer, first basket scored. There was a 3-pointer. I just picked the wrong guy. I wonder what those odds were. Couldn't have been as high.
Aaron Gordon does have 27 points.
I was going to be so mad if he shot the first 3 and missed it. That would have killed me. I would have fallen over dead. College football. I know you don't want to talk about it, but let's run through it real quick because there are some big games this week. We don't need to talk about it. The biggest game's happening in Athens, and we'll be watching. Everyone will be watching. I'll just mention App State, Coastal Carolina, 21-14 right now. The other games, UTEP and Rice, 27-20 Rice. Tennessee, Georgia, obviously 3:30 p.m. Georgia's still an 8-point favorite. College game day is coming. Luke Bryan is he just the worst?
I hate him.
I can't stand him.
He sounds like Kermit the Frog. He's like, none of his songs are good. Like, he's just. Have you seen him like try to dance? Oh my god,
it's so cringy. I will say that he's got catchy songs. Like, it's not like good country, but when I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's like a fun, catchy song. I went to the concert in Knoxville and like
shake it for me, girl.
Yeah,
shake it for me.
I was watching him. He does that. Like, how old is he? He's like what? He's in his mid-40s, right?
He's too old to be doing those now. Yeah,
he's doing like this, almost like twerking. Like, he's like shaking his ass for the crowd, and like the camera zooms in on all the girls are like, oh my god. I'm like, dude, you're like pulling like some Justin Bieber type shit. You're 45 years old or something like that. Like, he's wearing like the tightest jeans in the world.
He brought was it Nelly, I think, on one time, and he was like dancing like this.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's built his brand, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he sucks at life. Did he even go to Georgia?
I think he's from Georgia, I believe. I don't know if he went to Georgia. I feel like he's done college game day there before.
And they got Luke Bryan.
Haven't they done college game day there before? Am I crazy?
He went to Georgia Southern. It's not even like relevant.
That's Southern Georgia. Athens is in North Georgia. I know you got to struggle with geography. The water is ours. It's in our state. You aren't getting it. Southern Georgia is South Georgia.
Why didn't they get new politician Herschel Walker on there?
Yeah, seriously.
He would have been texting your mom before he got on stage.
Yeah, he texts my mom all the time trying to get her to vote. I guess she's an easy target. I don't know.
I texted a political candidate. I don't know if y'all have gotten a ton of texts. I texted one. I responded. I said, if I get one more message from this campaign to make sure they never win as much as a PTO election ever. And they just responded and said, stop messaging me. Like I
got one that it was like, vote for this guy and keep Donald Trump out of office. And I was like, I mean, I don't care which way you vote, but I wouldn't just sit here and take credit for Joe Biden.
Well, here's my question. Can you promise on that? Can you deliver on that promise? What are you going to do, guy?
My one vote is definitely going to make the difference.
Running back through college football, Ohio State, Northwestern. Oh, man, come on. Texas Tech, TCU. I'm only mentioning these because they're undefeated teams. I want to note that. I do want to ask about Kentucky, Missouri. Is Chris
I'm
Rodriguez
taking
playing?
Kentucky.
Is Chris Rodriguez playing? I mean, I think Kentucky probably still wins, but they did lose to South Carolina. I know they were Will Levis-ish.
Yeah, I think when a pick'em game, I have the kind of unwritten rule to take the better quarterback if I'm going to bet it. And I got to say, he didn't look like it last week. But the perfect thing about last week, it was last week.
And they played a really good defense, it turns out.
Some are saying.
Florida A&M. Florida and Texas A&M, not Florida A&M. Who are we taking? A&M 3-point favorites at home. Pick 'em game, pretty much.
Those are two bad teams.
Yeah, we don't bet on bad teams. Good point, Landon. Moving on. So someone was talking about, I want to talk about Baylor, Oklahoma real quick, because someone was saying, I can't remember the wording of the question, but it was like, what Power 5 team is set up like the worst for the future, I guess is how essentially the question. Is it not Oklahoma right now? As far as people who have teams who have coaches, because Nebraska, Auburn, definitely up in the air. If they make a good hire, it changes the outlook. Is it Oklahoma?
I guess if you're talking about like a team that was in like being a contender that's kind of fallen off, is that kind of what you're pointing toward?
Well, who has the worst outlook for the future? The reason I think Oklahoma is because you have 2 more years to win your conference and get into a college football playoff to have it easy. Because when you go to the SEC, Oklahoma is going to, at least in the first year or two, I don't think they're going to be competing for a title. And then you get in the struggle of recruiting and getting the right guys on campus after that. And it's a toss-up.
Yeah, because if guys like are dead set on going to the SEC, cool. Like you might have a better chance getting some like California guys, but you're not getting those guys out of Georgia and
Texas becomes even more difficult now.
Florida, yeah. I just recruiting out there, I think is going to be real difficult for them.
Yeah, so and Venables just doesn't look good. I mean, doesn't look terrible, but I think that's the thing with A&M. A&M has the money if they go fire Jimbo Fisher. And another thing going for Jimbo Fisher is he has won before. Again, if I'm betting, I wouldn't take him to turn A&M around, but I don't think A&M's outlook is – a lot of people want to fret about the money and getting out of that. If A&M wants to fire him, they'll pay the money.
Yeah, and the thing about Brent Venables that kills me is like the get back coach thing was cool when I first saw it. Like I thought it was funny, but now it's like either he's just like the biggest ass of all time or he's just a moron. Like just move. Like it's not hard.
I hate the get back coach and what it's become because at what point does a grown man not able to know where he's at on the field? And I'm not saying it's every football coach.
That's what I'm saying.
Step out on the field and make your call. You get some leeway with the refs. But if you need a guy pulling out your belt loop every single play, you're immature.
Yeah.
Josh Heupel could never.
He is on. He works his way down the sideline though.
He's scared to death that Mike Eckler's going to try to get him back, and he's like, "I don't want any part of that guy."
But he'll walk down to the 10-yard line. He don't give an F. It's hilarious. And my favorite thing though is when Mark Stoops, and this pissed me off with Reese and Kirk. Mark Stoops is complaining as I think it was the third quarter, the fourth quarter, they were letting the play clock expire to take it to the next quarter. And Josh Heupel, it might have been first or second, is on the field. I mean, he's at the numbers, just letting the play clock run out. And Mark Stoops is losing his mind about it. And Josh turns to the ref. He's like, "We're letting the play clock expire." And then Kirk and Reese are like, "Yeah, you can't do that." Dude, people walk out onto the field at the end of games with 38 seconds left on the clock. Yeah. And that 2 with a quarter expiring. Come on. Let's have some sense about ourselves. And Mark Stoops about has a stroke over it. He wet his khakis. They're way too dark brown to put on a statue now. It's just
his hairline went back even further. It was amazing.
It was fun to see him pitch a fit over the dumbest thing ever. Baylor, Oklahoma, though, don't bet on bad teams, but I would take Oklahoma if I had to.
Yeah, is that -3.5?
Yeah.
Dude, I think Alabama LSU could be a good game.
I'm excited for that game, and then we get to watch it. It's right after Tennessee, Georgia, so I'm really excited for that game.
Yeah, the loser of Tennessee's bowl.
Yeah, hell yeah. What's that? Implications too.
Notre Dame, Clemson.
That could be a big game too. If Notre Dame upsets.
God, what is the under 44? God,
take it.
Those teams suck so much.
What happened? How awesome would it be if Greg Schiano somehow beat Michigan? I mean, he won't.
I'm kind of thinking about taking Notre Dame in that game.
How are you?
Apparently, the weather's supposed to be bad in South Bend.
I saw Clemson fans trying to act like DJ Ungulele. How do you say his name? I'm so sorry how bad I butchered that.
Ungulele.
There's a Leia in there. Anyways, trying to float his name out for a Heisman candidate. Get out of here. Just get out. What? I mean, Clemson fans, the absurd, not all, Austin, not all Clemson fans, just some. We're trying to float his name out for a Heisman. No.
Sure, why not? I mean, just give them out,
Yeah.
Trick or treat. Texas, Kansas State. I don't know if Adrian Martinez plays, but I kind of like Texas -2.5.
It looks like it may not matter. I mean, they look good without him.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take Texas, though.
Okay. All right. Wake Forest, NC State. What's that over? I feel like NC State's been handed some high overs.
Are either one of them ranked?
You won the Wake Forest over, right? I know it was in a parlay, but you did hit the Wake Forest over hit last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just going to take it by itself this week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is? Have you found it?
I think it was 50 something.
Oh, we'll take that. We'll do that for sure.
What time is that game?
It's night game, 8 p.m. Oh, I'm gonna have to go 2 TVs in the living room tomorrow.
Hell yeah!
I think I'm gonna go watch the UT game somewhere. So if anybody, Johnson City, I won't drive far. Johnson City.
I bet you come to Knoxville and we'll watch it together.
No, sorry. I'm out.
Damn you.
I'm out.
It's at 54.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. South Carolina, Vandy. South Carolina has to win by 7, right?
Dude, it seems like free money. I'm taking South Carolina, Kentucky, and I think I'm taking
Beamer ball.
Wake Forest over, and I need one more to make it odd. What about Louisville over James Madison?
You would think. Louisville's not good, but I think Malik Cunningham's enough to win by a touchdown. It is 7.5 though.
Yeah, you can buy half.
Okay,
it'd be like
that's
minus
true.
120.
I do like Michigan to cover 26. I wouldn't put it in a parlay, but I like Michigan to cover 26 versus Rutgers. I wouldn't put it in a parlay, just to be clear. Play it by itself.
That's one of those where like you put a big spread, like you bet that, and then you look up like in the first quarter and they're down 7-0. That's just
but they cover, baby. They always cover.
It's just the worst feeling in the world when your team is down that you have a huge spread on. I feel like it always happens.
Right. What are your thoughts on the Alabama LSU spread? I know we talked about that game for a brief minute. 13.5. I mean, Jay Daniels is playing good. Played good at Florida. Played good at Ole Miss. I know Alabama's defense will look pedestrian against Tennessee, but
I might try to make it 14.
I just don't know how good, and take LSU to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like it also could be if Alabama gets to Jaden Daniels, if they get a turnover in the back end.
Yeah, I'm probably staying away from that.
Get away, yeah. That's my. I want to take LSU to cover. I think LSU covers, but I think there's a way that game gets out of hand.
Yeah, I would stay away from that one personally. Just with notoriously Alabama off a loss and then off a bye week, I'm pretty sure is just probably not. Even though obviously it's in Baton Rouge.
It's a night game in Death Valley. They said that 11 a.m. game is different. Prove it. This is your week to prove it. 60 minutes, LSU fans. This would have been a good game to go to. We talked about going back to Baton Rouge for a game, night game.
I wonder what the ticket price is on.
I was looking up that right now. It doesn't show you on your phone, I don't think. Oh yeah, low is 120. That's not bad.
That isn't bad. Why can't that be Tennessee? That makes me so mad.
I don't know if there is a. I don't know if there's a bad seat in Baton Rouge. I thought I didn't like the stadium layout, but our seats were probably quote unquote some of the worst there, and they were awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Garrett Thompson, what are the keys to victory this weekend? Let me tell you, Garrett. This is how you do showbiz. Friday night we'll do maybe we'll talk about doing a Friday night little pregame, and we'll do it there. Come back for more. You have to get on Twitter. That was a comment from Facebook. So you have to get on Twitter, but come back for more. We'll probably do a Friday or Saturday one. We normally do for away games.
Yeah, we could probably do Saturday morning.
Perfect.
You want?
I kind of want to.
Yeah, let's do that. One key I'm saying.
No. Save it. What did I just say?
Well, I mean, it's just
preview.
Win the game.
I like that. Yeah.
Score more points than the other team.
Yep. If Tennessee does that, I'm confident they win.
Yeah. I mean, 90% of the time you win every game that you score more points than the other team.
Yeah, 100 every time, 60% of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
60% of the time it works all the time.
Segments just wash.
Yeah, I think we got to get out of here. We're going on 145, so we'll be friendly to you guys and let you go. We will be back. Looks like Saturday morning. We'll get that time out to you soon. Garrett said make it a track meet. Yeah, I think Tennessee's got to make Georgia play out of their comfort zone, out of their style. I'm fired up for this week. Tennessee is your number 1 ranked team in the college football playoff. They may say it's early, but if the ranking didn't matter, and I know it doesn't matter come December, but if it didn't matter, Landon, they wouldn't put it out November 1st. So it matters. Guys, it's been great. We want to thank Ryan Shumpert one more time for coming on. Can't wait to get him back on. We said during baseball season, but I have a feeling this football season is going to last another month and a half, 2 months. So we may have to get him back on one more time during football season at least. We appreciate his time as always. It's been great. We appreciate you all.
Thanks again. Have a good Friday. Great weekend. It's all Vols, baby.
Yep. Go check out our friend Austin White.
Don't you dare let a Georgia fan bark in your face.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah, that Ryan made that Athens County Jail not sound too bad. So just tell him you know Ryan. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Guys, thanks again. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.